The Royal Rumble is one of the longest running pay-per-views in the history of WWE, with the very first taking place back in 1988, and the tradition still running strong to this day. Throughout all those years, there's been so much change that the resemblance to those early days are long gone, but they don't have to be forgotten, because today we're going to take a look at the many rings, stages, props, lights, graphics, and other cool things that make up the history of the event. This is Arena Showcase for the Royal Rumble. January 24th, 1988 would mark the debut of the Royal Rumble, with 18,000 fans packing the Copps Coliseum in Hamilton, Ontario. The original logo is very, well, royal. We see a gold cursive font for the event name, with fancy gold design surrounding it, and a crown atop with the WWF logo inside. To say the early days of entryways in the WWF were lackluster would be an understatement. Here we see a simple aisle with guardrails on each side extending all the way down to the ring. The ring area features mostly blue, with blue apron skirts, blue ringside padding, blue ring steps, blue turnbuckle posts, and light blue canvas, and red, white, and blue ropes. The only logos that can be seen in the ring area are on the turnbuckle pads, which feature the WWF logo and are, you guessed it, a very dark shade of blue. Introduction graphics feature a bold yellow font with a red underline and the WWF logo to the right. During the Rumble match itself, we see a cool little cutaway when wrestlers are making their way to the ring. The countdown clock is featured in bold yellow font. On January 15, 1989, 19,000 filled the Summit in Houston, Texas. The new event logo would be the one I grew up with in the early 90s and featured a maroon and gold color scheme. The entryway is a slight upgrade from '88 with the addition of a WWF logo above the gate where wrestlers make their way into the arena. On-screen graphics remain the same with yellow font and the red underline. The ring area remains with blue ringside padding, posts, steps, and ring mat, but the apron banners now feature the event logo stretch across a purple background. We also see the red, white, and blue ropes return. The countdown timer now appears in a white font. For 1990, Royal Rumble took to Orlando, Florida in front of 18,000. The logo remains pretty much the same with only slight modifications to the outline. There wouldn't be much in the form of change for 90. The entrance area remains a WWF logo and the ring area features the same color scheme and logo package. The countdown clock also remains white, this time a little more clear than before. The biggest change would come in the form of introduction graphics, where we see the same yellow font as before, but now the WWF logo is on the left and the red underline has been replaced with thinner red lines behind the font. "16,000 fans would fill the Miami Arena in Miami, Florida on January 19th, 1991. Once again, the logo that we've seen the last few years returns here. And once again, we don't see a lot of difference for 1991, with the entry area featuring the same look and the ring area being recycled as well. Introductions now feature a white font and the WWF logo has been moved to the middle for the commentary team and completely replaced by the Royal Rumble logo for wrestlers. The timer returns again in a white font. Albany, New York would host the 1992 Royal Rumble on January 19th with a packed house of 17,000 in attendance. And wouldn't you know, same logo, same ring area, and same entry area. Well, there is the addition of a blue curtain that the wrestlers now walk through to enter the arena. We see the WWF logo return for wrestler introductions, but now it's been removed from the commentary team. The countdown clock is also changed, now featuring that old NBA shot clock style. January 24th, 1993, in my hometown of Sacramento, California, 16,000 piled into the Arco Arena. Right off the bat, we see that the logo has not changed, but we do, however, receive an innovative upgrade at the entry area. While the WWF logo still remains off to the side, the wrestlers now make their way through a black curtain under a video screen. Graphics also received an overhaul with a stylish new white font featuring the WWF logo for commentary and an even fancier look for wrestlers with black text over a black, white, and yellow banner. The ring area retains the same look, and the Rumble clock is a larger version of last year's. For 1994, Royal Rumble came to us from Providence, Rhode Island with 14,500 fans in attendance. This would become the first Royal Rumble event to feature the WWF logo down in the corner of the screen for the entirety of the show. We see the video screen entryway return here, but the previously used WWF logo is absent. The 1990s are in full effect, and it's most definitely apparent by the graphics package, which feature brand new nameplates for wrestlers and commentators, as well as a new split-screen version of the Rumble entry camera shot. The timer style we saw last year returns, this time with a sponsorship from Casio. On January 22, 1995, Royal Rumble hit Tampa, Florida in front of just 10,000 fans. This year, the only logo change is the fact that everything appears in solid gold. This year, the video screen entryway has been added upon with a visual base underneath, as well as a wall surrounding the screen and lights over the top. The entry faces the corner of the ring for 95, which makes for some cool camera angles. We see some new introduction nameplates that feature a cool outlined version of the WWF logo, and for wrestlers we see additional information added like height and weight. At the ring area, nothing has changed once again, and that's pretty surprising as it's been quite a few years since something even as simple as a color change has taken place here. Fresno, California would host the 1996 Royal Rumble on January 21st with 9,600 fans in attendance. We would finally see a new logo for the event, complete with a new color scheme and a more chaotic style font. The entryway from last year returns virtually unchanged. On-screen graphics are quite the colorful addition this year, with white font and the event logo present for both commentary and wrestlers. The New Generation WWF logo appears at the bottom of the broadcast in place of the classic logo. Over at the ring area, we don't see much change, but we do get a new apron skirt, ditching the purple one used for quite a few years. Here we see a black base with the event logo in the middle and the New Generation WWF logo to the left and right. January 19th, 1997 would mark an attendance record for the Royal Rumble, with just over 60,000 fans hitting the Alamodome in San Antonio, Texas. Last year's logo returns here with a sponsorship appearing for the first time. Any 90s kids out there remember Starburst Fruit Twists? I don't recall them being all that great. Not much is new for 97, as the entrance area remains the same as 96, as does the ring area. San Jose, California would host the 1998 Royal Rumble on January 18th in front of 18,542 fans. Boy, they sure did hit California a lot in the 90s. We see a black and white version of the event logo that we've seen for a couple of years now. Over at the entrance ramp, we see a brand new set design with two large circular lighting structures. A black curtain and event logo hang from the rear structure, while the ramp runs down to the front structure. Unfortunately, we don't see a video screen return, which is kind of funny considering Raw is War featured one of the biggest Titantrons ever seen at the time. In the ring area, we see last year's ring skirt return, but almost everything else is new here. Blue has been swapped out for black, meaning the ring steps, posts, turnbuckle pads, ringside padding, and even ringside barriers are all now black. This would also mark the Royal Rumble debut of the red ropes look, which was so iconic during the Attitude Era. Along with this red and black color scheme, we see new red and black on-screen graphics for introductions. Royal Rumble returns to California in 1999, this time to Anaheim with just under 15,000 fans in attendance. The logo features a rugged, scratched-up version of last year's, keeping with the black and white theme and adding the WWF's new Scratch logo. The set design from last year returns, this time off to the side of the aisle, while a banner featuring the event logo is directly at the start of the aisle. This would be the first Royal Rumble to feature the Scratch logo not only on screen, but also on the turnbuckle pads and the apron skirt, which features a redesigned look with this year's modified Royal Rumble logo. 99 would also mark the debut of the solid black ring area barriers. On-screen graphics feature a more tame look than the last few years, with white font over a gray backdrop and the event logo. On January 23, 2000, Madison Square Garden would host the Royal Rumble, with 19,231 fans packing the house. This year features a brand new logo with all lowercase lettering and a red and white color scheme. This would also be the first heavily themed Royal Rumble event, playing off of the New York City location. The entry area is set up to look like a city street, complete with graffiti, bricks, pallets, and even a real taxicab perched behind the event above two metal doors where wrestlers enter into the arena. 2000 would mark the return of the digital countdown clock, appearing in the red and white color scheme. Introductions also feature this color scheme, but appear a bit bare with no event logo or company logo present. Not much would change at the ring area, but we would see a new apron skirt with the current logo and color combo. "17,137 fans hit the New Orleans Arena on January 1st for the 2001 Royal Rumble. We are clearly deep in the age of constantly changing logos, sets, and color schemes by 2001, so we're going to start seeing a lot more variety here. The logo is all new with a thin black text wrapped in gold outline. We see some designs complete the top and bottom of the logo, with the WWF logo sitting atop everything. The stage area is pretty large here, actually the largest to date by 2001. And the video screen, or Titantron, returns for the first time since 1997. Actually, we would get 4 of them here, with one displaying entrance videos, one keeping on the action in the ring, and the other 2 playing a constant loop of the animated Royal Rumble logo. Each screen features a sharp, almost tribal-like design around it, complete with backlit lighting that creates a really cool, not overly bright effect. Other than the abundance of screens, the set is actually pretty bare, featuring nothing else in the way of props or designs of any sort. Introductions feature an intricate banner with a multicolored font for names and a single R off to the left. In the ring area, we see a new apron skirt with the event logo stretched almost from end to end on the hardcam side, while the opposite sides feature the WWF.com logo, and ring ropes appear black for the first time. The Phillips Arena in Atlanta, Georgia would host the 2002 Royal Rumble with just over 16,000 in attendance on January 20th. Once again, we get a fresh new logo playing off of this year's color scheme of gold. The stage area returns with its multiple screen format, this time surrounded by steel lighting structures, such as the Raw is War Titantron setup. The point of entry features circular steel structures that kind of remind me of the designs used in 98 and 99. We also see two large arching lighting structures, with one in the middle and the other atop the entire set. A starry-looking backdrop would finish off the look for O2. Graphics for introductions appear with black font over a gold backdrop, with the event logo blended into the top. Most of the ring elements remain black here, but the ring skirt is quite loud here, with the event logo appearing in white over a gold and black backdrop. The WWF.com logo returns to the opposite sides of the ring. Boston, Massachusetts would be the home of the Royal Rumble for 2003, with an attendance of 15,338. While it isn't exactly the same, the logo from last year returns here, appearing for the first time with the WWE logo. To this day, this is probably one of the most unique stage designs I've ever seen. We see a Titantron atop a dome-shaped entryway, the one used for SmackDown at the time. But to the left of that, we see a rather large water feature that not only offers a constant flow of rain, but also projects video on said rain, making for a truly one-of-a-kind design. This water theming carries over to the on-screen graphics, where names appear over the top of the event logo, being washed out by a water effect. Over at the ring, the only new additions would be the ring skirt featuring this year's event logo and theming, and the inclusion of the WWE logo, which replaces the WWF logo on all turnbuckle pads, as well as the WWF.com being replaced with WWE.com on the ring skirts. January 25th, 2004, Philadelphia would host Royal Rumble with a crowd of 17,289 fans. As we saw last year, the bones of the Royal Rumble logo haven't changed, but ever so slightly modified for this year. We see a dual Titantron setup here with a steel lighting structure surrounding them, as well as curved lighting structures making up the lower section of the stage. Minitrons can be seen at the point of entry. This would also mark the very first Royal Rumble stage that's actually elevated off of the arena floor. Well, unless you count 98 and 99. Nameplates would appear in gold font with the event logo not only at the top of the graphic, but also behind as a backdrop. For a few years now, we've seen black ropes, turnbuckle posts, pads, ringside padding, barriers, and steps, and all that doesn't change here either, but also like recent years, we do see the ring apron skirt change, with the current Royal Rumble logo stretched across the hardcam side and the WWE.com returning to the opposite sides. Royal Rumble returns to Fresno, California on January 30th, 2005 with 12,000 fans in attendance. We see a completely new event logo, and this year the theming is based around an act from the West Side Story entitled The Rumble, and the logo features a similar look. Over at the stage area, we get a pretty heavily themed set design, which resembles the very scene it's meant to parody. We see a backdrop of an urban area with a fence in the foreground and a concrete beams complete with graffiti. Above this, we see the same staggered Titantrons from last year, this time without the steel lighting structure surrounding. On-screen graphics continue with the red and black color scheme, with names and numbers appearing in white. Over at the ring area, we see the same everything as 2004, even the ring banner, which looks really out of place with the outdated logo and color design. On January 29, 2006, Miami, Florida would host Royal Rumble with 16,000 fans packing the American Airlines Arena. Suited with a Roman theme, we see a logo reflecting this direction with similar font style to last year's, but featuring a crumbling stone look. Continuing this theme over at the stage, we see a massive wall of columns, lights, projection screens, and a set of doors complete with two people designated to opening them for every single entrance. During John Cena's entrance, we see a custom entrance ramp lower from the rafters, complete with chain rails, lights, and confetti cannons. Graphics for introductions feature large columns and a crumbling backdrop. In the ring area, we get an updated ring apron skirt, which shows off the new event logo for the hardcam side, and left of right of that, we see the WWE.com logos return. $13,500 fans hit the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas on January 28th for the 2007 Royal Rumble. The logo appears in the same font style as the last 2 years, with kind of a scuffed up effect applied. We see the return of the Attitude Era style entrance area, and what I mean by that is a center-mounted Titantron surrounded by a steel lighting structure with a lot of other steel accents. More of the industrial look than the last few years. This look carries over to the on-screen graphics where names appear in white font over the top of a brake pad. Okay, I'm kidding, but it does kind of look like a brake pad. We see the event logo to the left, and the ring can be seen faintly in the background. As we head to the ring, we see the WWE.com return once again to the side skirts, while the event logo appears facing the opposite directions. For the first time in quite a few years, we see a new rope color as they appear here in white. On January 27, 2008, Royal Rumble would return to Madison Square Garden with over 20,000 in attendance. We see last year's logo return virtually untouched. We also see the Royal Rumble presented in 16:9 high-definition widescreen for the very first time. Madison Square Garden wrestling events were always known for the non-traditional camera angle which faces the entrance area, which is always on a smaller scale than other arenas and allows for fans to sit all the way around the arena, including above the entrance set, which is pretty cool. Here we see a video screen above the entry gate with the New York City skyline not only appearing directly to the left and right, but also on a wider display in the background. We also see an LED screen that splits open and doubles as a set of doors, revealing more lighting displays inside. The aisle to the ring features tube lighting on each side. And at the ring, we see some changes for 2008, with red ropes returning for the first time in 8 years. We also see a new set of side skirts with the WWE.com logo appearing over a red and metallic looking background. And the previous black turnbuckle posts and ring steps are now silver. The on-screen graphics feature a small skyline with a billboard displaying the event logo, and a city train used as the backdrop for wrestler and announcer names. "2009 would take Royal Rumble to Detroit, Michigan for 16,685 fans on January 25th. We see the same logo now for a number of years, though the theming has changed enough to keep it from getting stale, like here where they feature a classic American muscle car in the Motor City. So one thing I never really thought about until during the making of this video is who controls the spotlights during entrances? I know on Raw is War in the late 90s they had these two towers to the left and right of the Titantron, and I remember seeing them manned, but for this event I noticed for the first time two guys sitting atop the Titantron, and you can see them holding on to spotlights. Now normally you can't see these guys as it's usually almost pitch black up there, but I managed to get these shots during pyro explosions, and for some reason this just fascinated me because again, I just never really gave any thought to how these spotlights are following the wrestlers down the ramp. Anyway, back to the stage. We're into the second year of WWE going HD, meaning the LED screens are starting to take over the set designs. We still see a traditional Titantron with lighting and the WWE logo surrounding, but everything else is made up of walls of lights, and though it's quite the massive stage design, it's definitely a bit on the generic side. We see that muscle car return for the digital graphics package, being used for wrestler introductions off to the left, and centered for announcers. The only new aspect of the ring area that we would see for 2009 is the new Royal Rumble ring banner. The 2002 Royal Rumble was hosted by Atlanta, Georgia, and they do so again here on January 31st, 2010 with 16,697 fans in attendance. What would you know? The logo returns once again, just slightly modified. The stage area is pretty similar to what we saw the previous year, with some small changes like the addition of a Royal Rumble logo below the Titantron and the Titantron ditching the tube lighting all the way around. We also see some curved LED walls opposed to the cube-like ones we got last year. Hey, there goes those lighting guys again. Introductions have been simplified a bit here with less emphasis on theming and more on a clean look. Oddly enough, we see the front and rear facing apron skirts return from last year unchanged, though the opposite sides feature a new WWE.com look. Just over 15,000 fans would attend the 2011 Royal Rumble on January 30th in Boston, Mass. This logo is going on 6 years strong at this point, and spoiler alert, it's got quite a few more years left. This stage design is almost identical to last year's, with the only big change being the fact that the LED walls display video a lot cleaner here, and I'm not sure if that's achieved by adding more lights to each wall, but that would be my best guess. The on-screen graphics feature this rusty, industrial look which Looks really cool, but doesn't quite fit with the glitzy, flashy stage area. Over at the ring, we see new apron skirts featuring the updated color scheme, which is red and white and orange, which clashes a bit with the red ropes. To the left and right of that, we see the returning WWE.com skirts from last year. We would also see for the first time ring posts appearing in white. On January 29th, 2012, over 18,000 would fill the Scott Trade Center in St. Louis, Missouri. It feels quite unnecessary at this point to mention the logo, but here it is. We're starting to see a lot of repetitive yearly stage designs by this point, and it's quite evident here where not a lot has changed. The Royal Rumble sign returns, this time at the top of the Titantron instead of below it. The two-cylinder LED structures return, as do the elements that make up the lower portion of the set. New for this year, we see a snake-like pattern of light displays topping off the entire look. On-screen graphics are similar to what we saw on other WWE programming at the time, such as Monday Night Raw. For announcers, we get a backdrop consisting of what looks like outer space, possibly? And I know we've seen that one before, I think at a WrestleMania. While the apron skirts don't change from last year, they did seem to realize that the orange and red combo was a bit hard on the eyes, so this year the ropes return to white and the turnbuckle posts are painted orange, tying into that banner logo. Just over 15,000 fans attended the 2013 Royal Rumble, which came to us live from the U.S. Airways Center in Phoenix, Arizona on January 27th. We've seen this logo flip-flop from red to white, I think maybe gray and white again, and here it's red again. It's been a few years since we've seen a whole new stage design, so this one is a breath of fresh air. I like the layers we get here with lots of different sets of screens set up to give this stage some real dimension. And I'm not typically a fan of these overly lit up set designs, but there's definitely something about this one that I quite like. And I can appreciate that they continue to include this Royal Rumble sign that definitely feels a little out of place in the middle of a completely lit up set. But this sign just feels like something we would have gotten in the late 90s. Introductions are pretty straightforward for 2013, with white font over a red and black banner, and the event logo appearing off to the left for wrestlers, and centered for the announce team. Over at the ring, the only one thing that is new this year would be the side apron skirts, containing a completely new version of the WWE.com logo, now appearing in red and white. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania would host the 2014 Royal Rumble on January 26th, with 15,715 fans in attendance. This year the logo is red. And this year, for me at least, is where the disappointment kind of starts, as this set design is the exact same one they used for the weekly television shows. I mean, part of the attraction for watching a pay-per-view for me was always seeing what kind of stage and theme we would get, as this would kind of set the mood for the entire night. I like being able to look back and see a picture of a stage and I can instantly tell you what pay-per-view it was and what matches were my favorite. It just completes the experience for me, but here, this is when things start to get really repetitive. The graphics go back to a more involved look with a lot of little details completing the package. Over at the ring, for some odd reason, we see the WWE.com side skirts from 2 years ago return, even though the new ones debuted just last year. We also see the ring posts painted white, and the Royal Rumble skirts are once again unchanged. The Royal Rumble would return to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on the 25th of January for 2015 with just over 17,000 fans in attendance. And after what seems like an eternity, this would be the last year that this logo was used for the event. Sadly, we would see the same stage as last year return, with the only change being the inclusion of the updated WWE logo, which would also become a permanent digital fixture at the bottom of the screen. I actually really liked these graphics for 2015, which had this like network TV screen type of theming tied to it with cables running all over the place. I thought this was pretty cool, and I like when they mix things up like this. Over at the ring, we see new ring apron skirts all the way around, with WWE Network replacing the old WWE.com skirts, and an updated event logo for the front and rear. The ring itself features white ropes, white posts, and the new WWE logo on the turnbuckle pads. For 2016, Royal Rumble took to Orlando, Florida on January 24th with just over 15,000 fans in attendance. We see the return of a Roman-themed Rumble, something we saw 10 years earlier in 2006, and the new logo reflects this direction. But unlike 2006, we don't get a really cool design stage to go with this theme. Instead, we get a repeat of the last 2 years. We do see some pretty cool digital graphics for introductions, taking advantage of the theming. Over at the ring, we see the introduction of the LED apron wall, which not only displays the event logo during matches, but also plays wrestler-specific graphics during entrances. As for the side skirts, they still contain the WWE Network logo with some gray accents added in. Everything else in the ring would return unchanged from last year. "20 years after doing so in 1997, the Royal Rumble would return to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, in front of a massive crowd of over 52,000 fans. This event would mark the debut of the currently used Royal Rumble logo, which features a simple white block font with a red line in between the two words. While technically a new stage compared to what we saw the last few years, it's still just a design used for Monday Night Raw, which I made an entire episode on, so if you haven't seen that one, make sure to check it out. This is definitely an upgrade over the previous few years, as the colors are a lot more bold and really pop with clarity not previously seen in these screens. With the large scale of the venue comes a really long ramp. So long, in fact, they needed modified golf carts to get wrestlers to the ring in a timely manner during the Rumble event. The introductions feature a really clean-cut, cool-looking design with WWE superstar names appearing all over the place. Over at the ring, they've extended the LED apron wall to another side of the ring and wrapped the ring posts in screens as well. We still see traditional apron skirts on the sides of the ring, not facing the cameras, which looks a bit odd on the occasion that they're actually seen. After just 3 years, the Rumble returned to the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on January 28, 2018, in front of a crowd of 17,629. The logo is exactly as we saw last year, which isn't a bad thing, as I think it's one of the best looking ones of the bunch. The only change we see at the stage area is the lower section of the set, which features a center-positioned entry area versus last year's, which was offset to the side. Just about everything else at the ring is unchanged, though we do see a new graphic package for the ringside LED banners. And for the first time in many years, we see them recycle the on-screen graphics package from the previous year. Now, I'm not sure if this counts as an official Royal Rumble or not. I don't think it does, but it uses the name, and though it was a special event, I feel it ties in enough for me to include it here on this episode. On April 27th, 2018, WWE took to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia in front of 60,000 fans. This event has a WrestleMania-like budget as Pyro returned, the stage was completely all new, and everything just felt like no expense was spared. The logo plays off of the official Royal Rumble logo with green added to represent the Saudi Arabia location in which the event took place, but instead to me it kinda looks Christmassy. The stage is absolutely massive and features some really cool stuff like these laser lights. We see a number of arched lighting structures, screens stretching from left to right, down the front of the stage and all the way down the extended ramp. The ring itself features a massive structure above it with giant pillars wrapped in more video screens, but the ring itself has been simplified a bit. We see traditional apron skirts return to all sides of the ring, featuring the event logo all the way around. We also see uncovered ring posts, though they do feature designs, something rarely seen within the company. Introductions feature a clean, though slightly on the large side banner featuring the event color scheme and names appearing in black and white font. Well, that's it. The many faces of the Royal Rumble. It's changed drastically throughout the years and unfortunately has already peaked. Well, in my opinion anyway. I'm not sure what my favorite is, but I am partial to the 2000s era Madison Square Garden designs. I'd like to hear from you guys. What are your favorites? Let me know in the comments section, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching.